need to also remain profitable or go out of business. Because if a ship is not running, it still accumulates cost. So it cannot be, let's just reduce the rates. So the question is, how do you think we could assist you in this new process?
Bernard, I don't need questions. I need answers now from you. And then Gary is also ready with answers. Thanks.
Well, I would actually have another question, not an answer. But we have a lot of very capable people giving answers. I have a question for Mr. Ho. Mr. Ho, you mentioned to us, or you pointed out the very successful case that you, and how you approached it in Brunei and so on. How could this be multiplied? What would be the recipe? Is there any, or is every other case, unique, specific? Or could you draw some conclusions for other businesses or countries?
Thank you. Yes, I think the example you can apply to other countries. I just quote another example, which I think will answer both of your questions. We are working on another similar project, but not on the halal or food. That is an economic zone in Jamaica. It is $1 billion investment, special economic zone, in which one of the very important part of the zone is actually the logistic part. Because the focus is to attract companies from the Asia-Pacific region, including mainly China, to have operating center on the economic zone so that they can cater for the Americas market. So for us to do that, the third-party logistic, shipping line, port facilities are really crucial. So I think that is the things that we have to work with the local government on this public-private partnership program. And so I think the successful of the Brunei government, I have to say, is because the government driving force on this is very strong. They want that to be success. They offer the land at a very low price, and they offer electricity, and the tax concession, and they offer visa for the expatriate to work there, so that all the funding requirement and all the operation become easier. So the same thing if we apply to in Jamaica, say, that cater for the Americas. That is a very important market for the Asia-Pacific countries, including China. So I think the first thing we do is to introduce major logistic operator from China, like port operator, to come to Jamaica, and then to operate from there, so that you have a slow boarding process. Thank you.
Andre, very briefly, because there's another session immediately after this.
One of the success of financing under SCB scheme, Standard Chartered Bank scheme, and you ask where is a logistic company can come in. If you can secure by issuing true bill of lading from the producing zone to end where the market is. I take, for example, and thanks ITC, she introduced us to one of the most important men in Switzerland, Migros. If you want to sell in Switzerland, you go to him. He is a market. But in order for him to trust that he can reference your product in his various store, he has to make sure that the product will arrive meeting the weight, the quality, and his price. So you as shipping line is very important to provide true bill of lading. Thank you very much. As one of the tools. Thanks.
Andre, it's the fat lady that has to sing, not you having the final word. So allow the fat lady to sing, to thank the chairperson, Tariq, and to thank all the capable panelists. Andre is still having a master session class here at 5, so please do join him And I'd like to thank our commentators as well as our contributors and our support staff who were extremely competent. I think that in rounding off and concluding with our increased competitiveness through innovative financial mechanisms, in summary, we'd just like to speak to ITC in terms of them motivating the banking and insurance sectors to offer tailor-made financial products for agriculture and commodity exports for developing countries. We are also then, in conclusion, recommending that ITC should assist in integrating markets with players. They should assist in strengthening the identification of stakeholders, and then ITC could also assist in the establishment of an acceptable financing scheme of inputs and raw materials for all producers. Now, you saw I sort of tried to put it very diplomatically, because I'm here by invitation of Ms. Patricia Francis, graciously. So lest she doesn't invite me for another session, I better hold my mouth or keep my peace. But I'll very graciously say that a 4th century BC Chinese philosopher Mengzi said that great is the human who has not lost his or her childlike heart. This noble philosophy speaks to the issue of this plenary session. And it is the childlike heart that is full of dreams, that is more compassionate and that is less judgmental, that believes in partnerships, that is not selfish, that seeks to grow together, not alone and not apart. The child does not grow in an environment where there is domination and competition. And so emerging markets will not grow if we do not increase their competitiveness through innovation and through cutthroat financial mechanisms. I had the opportunity before we started in 2009 to have a meeting with our esteemed icon, Nelson Mandela, and we could question him about what he wanted to do better and what he expected us to do better. He said to us that when we liberalized our economy in South Africa, we became more liberal than the liberals themselves. And so doing, we threw the baby out with the bath water, but we threw out the baby, we threw out the bath, and we threw out the water. And the baby was stillborn. And then we asked him how we could resuscitate and revive the baby to grow our economy in South Africa. And he implored us to take a second look at our work towards HIV and AIDS and our work towards eliminating crime in our continent, as well as having global peace. So I think that was a lesson he taught a number of us when we came to government in 2009 with President Zuma. I'll also take the comments that you don't agree with everything President Zuma said. So don't worry, I'll take those comments to him. Thank you very much, ladies. No, I'll take those comments. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And because you've been such a wonderful audience, you're going to have free coffee after this. And then I've also announced the classes at 5, and Andre will be facilitating those classes. Tariq, you still have some announcements?
Well, thank you, Honorable Minister, for this passionate closing. Thank you for your stewardship of this panel. I think it was very interesting because you have announced coffee and nobody's leaving, so maybe they want more of this. In any case, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. Dinner tonight is off-site, so we need to be ready at 1800 hours downstairs, and the buses will leave at 1820 sharp. So in the meantime, there's Andre Suma and John Meyer's masterclass on structured financing from 5 to 6 p.m. in this room. And right now, you have coffee waiting for you. And thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. Dress this evening is the same as you are right now, or a little more informal. But please come dressed.